Hi, this is Catherine, and this is Taking Tea with Catherine. This is a nice rooibos chai, an herbal rooibos chai, so all of the chai, none of the caffeine. And I find it to be a comforting tea because it reminds me of going to Alice's Teacup. It's a very similar tea to the one I get often when I go there. So for me, that's comforting, and I put a little oat milk in it to see how that would be, and it's a pretty good cup. So that's nice. The cup itself, by the way, talk about resilience. My cat knocked it off the counter when I was too procrastinatingly not doing dishes, and it survived. So that's really nice. I thought I'd do a Friday read slash mid-month check-in ish slash how we all doing thing. Um, it's been quite a month so far. I've not been finishing a lot of books, as I've been saying over and over again. I am reading. I am doing better with my reading, but I'm also reading multiple books and a lot of big books, so I'm not finishing a lot. And no shame. What are you gonna do? There's no deadlines for most of these books, right? I'm not particularly in any specific challenge or readathon right now myself because I see a lot online and I think they're great, but I just don't want to push myself. I will probably do something next month though. I'm almost finished with The Other Bennett Sister. I got it on Saturday and I started it on Monday and I'm making very good progress. Almost done. Looking forward to discussing that on this channel a little bit. And I started The Catmen of Gotham, which is just very nice in a historical way, but also kind of sad because there's a lot of sad things that people did to cats, especially during a polio outbreak, epidemic, whatever they call it, in 1916, and they closed a lot of public spaces, which kind of sounds familiar. And what people do with animals sometimes during those times could be a little bit frightening. Still reading the Rogues Gallery. I think this week there was the anniversary, the 150th anniversary of the Met. I'm not specifically sure if I'm right about that, but there's been just so many anniversaries. It was like Titanic this week too, I think. I almost wore my Heart of the Ocean for one of my videos, and then I thought, I'm not doing that to you. I have a replica. Yeah. My joke is that one day I'm going to go to the Staten Island Ferry and just throw it all overboard and go, ah! I don't know. Haha. And I also have the Mirror and the Light that I'm still reading. I can still talk about what I'm up to in this because it's historical. It's not like there's no spoilers in history really, specifically. I think I'm in getting far into 1537. The Queen Jane Seymour is pregnant. And that was a big deal at that time. So I don't know if you know anything about Jane Seymour, but she was the one that Henry, kind of at the end of his life, dubbed his favorite, I guess. I think he was buried beside her because she bore him a son. He was with Jane, I think, shorter than almost all of his other queens, and yet that was so important to him. And I get that, but what had to be done before that could happen? And then she died. I mean, that was so sad. But anyway, she's still alive at this point, just pregnant. So those are books that I plan to be still reading this weekend, and maybe I'll add more, maybe I'll subtract, who knows. So otherwise I've been doing okay. I've already explained that sometimes I get my sad moments or my agitated moments, my anxiety moments, but I had insomnia for a couple of days. I got through it. I slept last night. But thought I'd talk about something that happened that made me sad today. I was worried about this person, and I guess rightly so. So I don't usually talk about my other YouTube interests. I'm not that much of a, I don't follow other, you know how there's BookTube and there's other things. I know people who follow BeautyTube or whatever. I rarely do. Just I don't care enough, I guess, about makeup to do so. I'm just that kind of person. I get bored. Only time I watched one was when the time I ran into a door face first and I needed to cover up my bruises. That was fun. And walk around telling people you should see the other guy. I was the other guy. Or was it the door? Anyway, so I had to watch something about covering up bruises. That was that was it. But yeah, mostly when I watch YouTube, I mean, I just watch all kinds of videos besides BookTube, but I'm mostly a cat person. And so I watch a lot of cat videos. And my sister had forwarded my other sister and I a really funny video. And she said it reminded her of her old house, which she had like 3 cats and a dog years ago. And shortly after she sent that video to me, I had been out of work for like not a month. That's now, well, out of the office for a week because I had that kidney stone TMI that I had to deal with, and I couldn't read. I couldn't concentrate on anything. It was just watching reruns of things that got me through, and then watching these YouTube videos of this particular person that just I feel like helped me get through. And then other times I've had difficult, when you just want to distract yourself from something that is sad, and his videos really were just so funny that it did help. I have to say, I'm not the only one who says this. And I'm talking about the Talking Kitty Cat videos made by Steve Cash. He was a musician as well, but I guess his big fame came from taking his cats, filming them, I guess finding when they're chatty, especially his one cat who was the Talking Kitty Cats, Sylvester, and dubbing like dialogue, so it kind of looked like he was talking to his cat and his cat was answering him, and the other cats that would talk to, but since I guess they weren't as chatty, some cats are more chatty than others, he usually didn't have them speaking as much, and Sylvester was like the main character. He was jealous of all the other cats, and the dog. They had a black lab named Shelby Girl. Sylvester was always trying to find ways to get rid of them, and he had a little diary. It was just hilarious, and the videos had been made long before 2018 when I started watching them, and so I had a lot to catch up on, and then I, as I do when I get into something, I just exhausted the supply, and then realized he wasn't making any new ones, and for months, and I think it was like 8 months, he didn't make any new videos. And then one day, last year, I think, in the springish, suddenly, I remember because I woke up in the middle of the night. There was something that happened in the middle of the night that woke me up, and then I saw a notification for a new video, and it was like 2 in the morning. I just jumped out of bed, and I was like, I gotta watch this video, and it was so fantastic to see new videos, new storylines, the cat's getting into all kinds of things. Sylvester started becoming a rapper. Hilarious, but it was also clear, because I followed him also on social media, Facebook, etc., that Steve Cash had to deal with bipolar disorder and severe depression, and so he'd go through time periods where either he'd be really creative and do a lot, and times where he was just so down. And you feel sad when you hear stories about that. You always hope for the best, and for his last video was around New Year's, and it was very funny. But he talked about the things that he deals with also at the end, and then said, I'll have a new video for you soon, and there was nothing. I woke up this morning and found out on Facebook that his wife had posted that he had taken his own life yesterday. And, I'm not a big crier. I'm the kind of person, sometimes I'll get emotional and just get like tears in my eyes, and I hate that because people are always like, oh, you're emotional. And I try not to be emotional too much. But sometimes, you want to weep, and you can't. I've been trying to, actually, this month when I've been frustrated about things and haven't been able to. And sadly, this was the thing that made me, just weep. I mean, it was just a rough morning, because that's something you don't want to hear. And, you think about that for myself. I didn't even know him, as a person. We didn't hang out. I never met him in person. But, I thought about his whole family, his wife, the rest of his family, his friends, and, and the cats and the dog. I do feel like, animals do know when someone that is close to them leaves them. And, I know my cat, Zenobia, was around when my dad died. I know there was a lot of different changes that happened as a result of his death, so I don't know what she was exactly reacting to, but I know she was not thrilled with the change. She's gotten through it, obviously, 14 years later. But yeah, but I have to say, it's hard because you can't judge. You don't know what goes on with people. I do know someone who had extreme depression, chronic the depression that said that, and I myself have to deal with it, but I feel like it's never gotten to the point that well, anyway, they said that it's like no matter what you do, if you have to deal with depression, it's not like physical pain that is painful, but you can usually take something that will help it get better, usually. Whereas that kind of pain, no matter what you take, no matter what you do, it's always going to hit you at some point. And there's only one way out of it. And that's why I don't want to judge anybody, and I don't want to think badly or anything either way. The only person who you could be encouraging to people, and you should, if you can. I know it's hard right now because we're all just talking to each other on screens, but it's hard to say, oh, be there for that person, give them a hug, because we can't right now to a lot of people. But to the extent that we can be kind to each other, we should be. And don't blame other people when someone they love takes their own life. They feel just as powerless as you do. But for yourself, if there is help that you can get. That's it. It's like, really, what can you do to take care of your own mental health and to be a loving person? That's all we can do. So all I can do is just is what I can do. So I don't know if that helps anybody, but I don't know if I'm really an authority on these things. But I thought I had to talk about it here, even though it doesn't directly deal with the books I've been reading, just because it does affect why I am feeling the way I am, and my feelings do reflect on my reading habits, etc. Just like it affects my eating habits. Sometimes when I'm really sad, I rarely stop eating, but I may end up comfort eating, which is almost as bad as not eating, because you can eat a lot of things that you shouldn't. Anyway, but I'm trying to not let it get to me too much, because again, it's not going to help anybody else to be that way about someone I never met. But I still feel very sad for the family, obviously. Goodness sakes. And I hope you guys are all doing all right. I know this has not been an easy time for anybody, but I really, hope you're okay. I'm not much of a therapist, but I thought I'd take this opportunity. This actually I didn't plan to do this just for today. I thought about doing this because it's because everybody's been a little up and down right now and anxious or whatever. And it's poetry month, and I thought, I've never read a poem. Have I? Maybe I have, but I don't remember specifically saying I'm going to read you a poem on my channel. So I thought, because I said I was going to read poems from this book this month, I might as well. And I picked one that is a little, it's not very long, but it's the condition, because everyone has a condition, is need for reassurance, also suitable for anxiety and depression, general fear of mortality, and pessimism. There's a lot of that going on right now. People are scared, So I thought I'd read this poem. It won't cure anything, but Everything is Going to Be Alright by Derek Mann. M-A-H-O-N. How should I not be glad to contemplate the clouds clearing beyond the dormer window, and a high tide reflected on the ceiling? There will be dying, but there is no need to go into that. The poems flow from the hand unbidden, and the hidden source is the watchful heart. The sun rises in spite of everything, and the far cities are beautiful and bright. I lie here in a riot of sunlight, watching the daybreak and the clouds flying. Everything is going to be all right. I don't know if that helps, but I hope, you don't want to be like, everything's going to be all right when someone's saying something sad, but it's a nice reflective poem, and sometimes it is. Today's a bit of a dreary day out in New York, but sometimes it is nice to just look out and see the sun when it comes in, like cats do, My cat, I almost called him Cinnamon, that's my first cat's name. My cat Freddie, the other day, there was one shaft of light coming in from the window, and he's there, putting his big, rumpy ginger self right into that sunlight. And, sometimes it's all we could do. It may not be a perfect situation in our life, but just take something. I don't know. Anyway, so I think I've talked enough today. I hope you guys are all right, and please let me know if you guys are reading any of these books, how you guys are feeling right now. Um, if you guys have heard of Steve Cash before, let me know. Uh, it is just a sad thing right now. So anyway, this is Taking Tea with Catherine. Have a happy, hopefully lovely weekend, full of tea, and that's all.